guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would make a video about how to be that Christian girl. I'm not saying that I'm that Christian girl, but I feel like there are a bunch of people out there who, one, want to be Christian but don't know where to start, or maybe they didn't grow up with people around them showing them how to be a Christian. And like I said, I don't think I'm perfect. By no means do I think that I'm the perfect Christian. But I've grown up in church, and I just want to share my knowledge with other people in hopes that they will find Jesus and that they will prosper and spread the good news as well. So I'm gonna do this in a bunch of different parts, I think, but the first part I just kind of want to walk someone through. If you are watching this video and you are feeling led towards Jesus, or maybe you don't and you are just kind of intrigued, I want to be able to use this video to kind of walk you through where to start. Where do you start when you feel that tug? Where do you start when maybe you are a Christian but you've been out of it for so long that you just don't remember the motions? So I'm just going to take you through a couple of steps that I take when maybe I've been in a slump, or I just need to go back to the basics. And if you don't know the basics, I would love to introduce you to them. Please check other sources, because I am not, like I said, the perfect Christian. No one is. And I mess up and I do bad things, and I don't 100% get it right every single time. So don't use me as your number one source, but I would love to be almost a big sister in Christ to you and lead you to the basics. So today, for the first part, I'm just going to walk you through reading the Bible. I think that is a great place to start with this. This is the basics. I mean, I have two good Bibles here, and I think these are the basics, okay? But the more you read the Bible, the easier it gets to read the Bible. So buy a Bible, have a Bible. Translation matters to an extent. If you don't go to a church, there's so many different things you could use. If you do go to a church, I recommend sticking to the translation that they use, because then the sermons will make a whole lot more sense. But I have a Bible in NIV. I've also had Bibles in ESV and CSB, and I've had a bunch of ones, but NIV just works for me. That's the first step. Figure out a translation that works for you. There's some that are very simple, and there's KJV, which even I don't understand most of the time. But pick a good version. Definitely do your research on the version that you're reading, because I think there are some versions that maybe you shouldn't read. I don't know if that's controversial, but maybe there are some. But personally, I read NIV, and most of the things that I'm going to be talking about include NIV. So yeah, a lot of questions that I get are, where do you start when you want to read the Bible? And I think it's easy to say the Gospels. I think the Gospels, being Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are the place to start, because you learn about Jesus. And Jesus is the most important part of Christianity, is learning about the person who came and died for us. So starting in one of those books, typically I think people start with Matthew, but I think John's good too. I think John's a really good one to start with. But any of the Gospels are good to start with, because they all say similar stories, and they're all talking about the life of Jesus. And I think understanding who Jesus was, why he came here, what his mission was, and why we follow him is going to be the foundation for the rest of your faith. I think something to remember for sure is that you don't have to read an entire book of the Bible in one sitting. You can read as little as a verse a day. I typically won't do that. I typically will sit down and read a chapter at a time, because I feel like the Bible is split up very good that way. And I will say some of chapters are very substantial, where I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I'm learning so much. I feel so much. And there's some chapters where I'm like, can I skip this? Can I not? Is this important? I will say every chapter of the Bible is important, but you have to have a good foundation for every chapter of the Bible to be important, if that makes any sense. the first day that you read the Bible may not be the day where you're sitting there thinking, wow, this is amazing, I'm learning so much, I need to keep reading. It may be 5 days down the line before you're learning something, but it has to be consistent. You have to be in the Word for the Word to change you. I think reading with 2 different versions is a good idea, just so you're ensuring that you're reading what the Bible actually says, because some versions change words, they sometimes change meanings almost, and so having 2 versions to compare and make sure that you're actually getting the full story is good. So I like NIV and I like ESV together. I think they're great. Now, when you get into actually reading the Bible, a couple of tips. 1, put all distractions away. Put them all away. Your phone, anything that could distract you, put it away. Because you're going to be tempted. The devil is going to tempt you to not read, because reading is what's going to lead you back to Jesus or to Jesus. And the devil's going to take you away from that. Somehow, some way, he's going to take you away from that. 2 is prayer, which I will make a whole separate video over prayer. But just, even if you don't know prayer or what to do, something as simple as just bowing your head and saying, Lord, please let this, what I'm about to read, soak in. Let me understand what I'm reading. Let me understand the importance of what I'm reading. And let me get something from this. Amen. Is simple and suffices. It's good enough. Once I've done that, I think a quick read through of the chapter that you're reading is a must. Just read through it. Don't stop to take notes. Don't stop to think about something. Just read through the chapter. Just get through it. Because then you'll at least know a little bit about it. Then I think you have to go back through and read it a second time. And I think on your second time, things will stand out to you. Things will make more sense. I think on the second read through is where you're going to get something out of it. I think if you just read through it once, a lot of it's going to just leave your brain. So the second read through is what I recommend. And that's where you're going to take notes. And they don't have to be detailed notes. There may be a chapter where you're like, none of this seems important to me right now, and I'm not going to take notes on it. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But I try to at least highlight one sentence that I can critically think about and gain something from. I recommend getting a Bible that has a place in the margin for you to write notes, because random things will pop into my head. It might be even something simple like an exclamation point saying, hey, this stood out to me the first time that I read it. It doesn't have to be, oh, this means this and this means that, and it doesn't have to fill up the whole column. It can be as simple as a symbol to let you know, hey, this was important to me when I first read it. Now, the next couple of tips that I'm going to give you are more so for trying to make this fun when it's not fun. And reading the Bible is not always fun. Should be, because it has so much great knowledge and just so much that we need. But it's not always fun and it's not always easy. There have been times where I've gone months without dipping into my Bible because I got too busy or I got too stressed or, oh, it doesn't matter, I've already read this chapter anyways. So ways that I specifically try to make it fun or more enjoyable for me. 1, buy a Bible that you think is cute, that you think makes you want to read it. You're not going to read a book if you think the cover looks nasty. Unless maybe someone's recommended it to you. But if it doesn't entice you to go look at it, it's not a color that you like, it's not a print that you like, it doesn't feel like how you like it to feel, you're not going to want to pick it up. So my first Bible that I really dug into was this one. And it's very simple, very basic, leather, no columns, just the Bible. And there was a point where I was on fire for this Bible and it was everything that I needed until it wasn't. And I got sick of it and it wasn't enticing me anymore and I just couldn't do it. So I went and bought a very pretty Bible, something that I want to pick up. It has texture to it. It's fun to hold in my hand. It has margins that I can write in. It's wider. It's just so much more fun to look at. And that may sound so silly, but it's easier to pick this up than it is for me to pick this up. That's just how it works. Now, if you're someone who likes supplies, office supplies, or you love back to school shopping, get a good notebook, because the margin may not always be as big as you need it to be to write the notes that you're wanting to write. So this is my little journal notebook. It's not much bigger than my actual Bible. It's not huge, doesn't need to be. This is the notebook that I take to church with me, that I write notes in. It's just pretty, and it's just lined. It's beautiful, and it makes me want to write in it. It makes me want to pick it up. And that, like I said, it sounds so silly. If you know, you know. But if it sounds so silly, but it can do wonders when you get into a rut where you're not wanting to pick up a Bible. The last kind of tip that I want to give in this specific video of just an introduction to the Bible is two things. If you've never read the Bible before and you don't know how to stay on a schedule, you don't know how to stay consistent with it, maybe you don't know what resources to look at to gain further knowledge, or two, you've read the Bible, you've read every chapter, and you want something that goes a little bit more in depth than just your basic knowledge of what's going on, pick up a Bible study. Now, I will say you have to be careful and make sure that you're picking up a good Bible study, something that's coming from a good source who knows what they're talking about. Now, my number one recommendation that I cannot not rave about is Jen Wilkin. She makes tons of these studies, and I think her studies are by far the best that I've ever read. I think she knows what she's talking about. She's a good teacher, and it works. And I'm not even being sponsored to say this. I genuinely just think she's very good at what she does. Now, there are plenty of other studies that you can do by plenty of other authors. And I would love to give you more. If you need more recommendations of studies, please let me know and I will give you some. But I'm going to talk about these ones for a second because I think for a beginner or for someone who just wants a little bit more information, these are great. They are 10-week typically sessions. They come with questions to answer, and they come with videos to watch of her explaining everything, of her going into detail about why she wrote the question and what the question means and the answer to the question after you've done it. But I think this is a great place to start. So again, Jen Wilkin, any of them. These two are my favorites, but any of them are great. Another great source that I use is the Bible Project, which they make videos on YouTube, and they have plans in the Bible app that really break it down for you. Break down the basics, make it easy to understand. They do overviews of certain chapters, they do overviews of certain topics, but overall I think they're a great source to use if you're needing some more understanding of something. Now I feel like this video is long enough already, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to make other parts, and there's probably more that I want to say on this topic that I'll put in other videos because I can't think of it right now. But I really hope that if you are a beginner or you need some more in-depth knowledge of where to start if you're in a rut, I hope that this has really helped you and maybe sparked motivation in you to do better and be better. And it sparked motivation for me to be better, honestly. Like, I struggle too, and I need this reminder sometimes when I'm struggling. So I hope that this helps someone, and I hope that you can look to this video whenever you're down and can have some advice and some motivation to get back with it. I will be praying for each and every one of you this week, and I hope the Lord blesses you in so many different ways. I cannot wait to make more parts of this and give more advice that I've learned from others in my 20-something years on this earth. Stay tuned for the next parts. I want to do one on prayer, and I want to do one on how I study the Bible, maybe give you a chapter example where I just study. So let me know what you want to see. If you have any questions or if you have any video ideas that you personally might be struggling with, please feel free to message me on any of my socials and I will get with you. I can't wait to hear from you guys. And yeah, I can't wait to see you in the next video.